You called it right at 1:30.
You tell that man to be on time, and he's not going to be a minute or 2 minutes early. He's surely not going to be late.
That's fantastic.
He's going to be right on time, joining us right
Sitting in
now
the
on
shadows.
House Divided. The man, the myth, the legend.
Creepily in the shadows.
Look at this
Nate
guy.
Boyer, former Longhorn, joining the show. Nate, thanks for a little bit of time. Where are you right now?
I'm in Las Vegas. I'm recovering right now. I ran the Leadville 100 this weekend, so I've got my foot up, icing it. I don't know if you guys don't know, it's a 100-mile race through some pretty serious altitude, and the highest city in America is Leadville, Colorado. And so you start there, you go up to 12,600 feet, you go down, you turn around, you come back up that mountain, back down, and 100 miles later, you cross the finish line if you're lucky. So
Is that what kind of race is that?
It's just an ultra marathon, you know,
Okay.
just your everyday run of the mill.
Just the kind of thing Nate Boyer does on a random weekday.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was on a weekend. It was on the weekend.
Oh, it was a weekend, so you're still recovering.
Yeah. It was Saturday into Sunday morning.
What's funny, Chad, is one of my first questions was going to be, you know, we got to know Nate because part of his story is he just decided, I want to play football. I want to be on the Texas football team. And like, he made it happen. He willed it to happen. Part of Nate's story is when he sets his mind to it, he has historically been able to do almost anything that he really like sets his mind to. And I was going to ask him, what's the new thing that you've set your mind to? But his icing feet in the desert of Las Vegas probably provide that answer for us.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I'm out here. There's the National Strength and Conditioning Association. They had their annual tactical training here in Vegas, and I spoke last night. So I'm out here. Obviously, it's low altitude and it's Vegas, so yeah, most places you stay are pretty relaxing for the most part. I guess you can choose to make it not relaxing, but they were like, hey, you know, you're speaking on Tuesday evening, but you're welcome to stay until Friday if you want. We got the room for you. And I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm going to be kicking back and getting rested up and, you know, having a few cold ones and trying to recover. So
that's it. Yeah, that's a good idea. Nate, I saw you at the Mark Henry event back in May, and we were talking about your movie. So Ketch was talking about some of the things you've been into. I know in the last couple of years, you have become a movie star and you've become a director. So let's just catch up on the MVP. What kind of reaction are you guys getting from the MVP movie? And are there any other movies, in the pipeline right now?
Yeah. Thanks, Chad. Definitely not a movie star, but I love you, brother. Great job emceeing that event, by the way, man.
Oh, thank you.
And shout out to Mark Henry. Love that guy.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so MVP came out last November on Veterans Day, actually. And it's based on basically the genesis of merging vets and players. We call it MVP for short, but co-founded that organization with Jay Glazer back in end of 2015. And we bring together combat vets and former pro athletes and help them find purpose and identity when they lose a uniform. And the movie is about a Marine. It's based on a true story. It's about a Marine who was living in a homeless shelter on Sunset Boulevard in East Hollywood, and a former NFL player who's more of kind of a composite character that we created, who is living in West Hollywood and has a gym off Sunset Boulevard, which is actually Jay Glazer's gym, Unbreakable Performance Center. But in our story, it's the athlete's gym. So this Marine, this homeless Marine, and this NFL player, first year out of the league, who, you know, on paper, you might not think they have much in common. Very different backgrounds, very different experiences, very different jobs, but they're going through the very same transition issues of losing the uniform, the team, the identity, the career ending pretty young and feeling like you'll never be great again. So they kind of bond over that and help each other through those struggles. So if people want to watch it, please do. It's Showtime licensed it, so it's on Showtime if you have that. But if not, you can rent it on Amazon Prime or Apple TV or all those places, and it's like $3 or $4, so it's no big deal. But please check it out and learn more about merging vets and players. Our website for the organization, for the charity, is vetsandplayers.org.
Nice. Nate, once upon a time, we had Al Green on the show, and we asked him how much.
Singer?
What's that?
The singer?
Yes.
No way.
Long time ago, and one of the questions I asked him was how often he listened to his own music, and you know whether or not if he was ever. If he ever had lady friends over, did he play his songs or did he play someone else's music, right? Like how uncomfortable would that be to try to romance somebody but you're playing your song. I just thought that might be kind of weird. And he admitted he played other people's music. I'm curious, how often have you watched your own movie? Like, do you like the movie so much that it becomes a movie that you have on in the background? Or is it weird watching your stuff and you just assume watch something else?
I mean, it's weird because I'll analyze the hell out of it and pick it apart. So I co-wrote it, I directed it, I produced it. I was, one of the lead actors. Most of the reasons for doing all of that is because I didn't have to pay any of those people. Because it was me, because we made the thing for nothing. It's like the budget was like $200,000. It's very low budget, but it doesn't feel like it because we had a lot of favors and we had some incredible people working on it. And I got notes from some of the greats. Sylvester Stallone is an executive producer on it for a reason. He just, he loved the story and what we were doing, and he wanted to help us get it out there. And he hasn't asked for anything, and as well as his producing partner and their team. So, but all that to say, when I sat in that editing room with the editor, I mean, I watched it 50 times there alone, just getting it down to where it is. And then I went to, of course, some of the pre-screenings, a premiere, and then I've hosted a bunch of screenings. So I've had the opportunity, fortunately, to screen it with like the Seahawks, Cowboys, University of Nebraska, Stanford. Mac Brown out at UNC had me come in and show it to the team for a game last year. Temple, Tulane, Houston, University of Houston, all these places. And which is awesome. But then it's like, what I usually do is I'll like introduce the movie and I'll watch it for a bit to make sure it's not hiccuping or something. It's working all right. And then I'll like go in the lobby for an hour and a half. And come
An hour and a half.
Like, people will be like, you don't want to watch it? I'm like, dude, I've seen this 100 times. It's really not that good, So, no, I am proud of it though. I do think it's good. And it's a credit to the whole team. It was like such a team effort. A ton of veterans, gotta watch my language, ton of veterans worked on this thing and athletes as well. So like, in it, Tony Gonzalez, Randy Couture, Michael Strahan and Howie Long have cameos. Jay Glazer's in it. Jared Bunch, who was a first round draft pick, a fullback out of Michigan and played for the New York Giants for a while. He's in it. And then all the vets portrayed on screen are played by actual vets, including Dan Loria, who was the dad on the Wonder Years. He's a Vietnam vet. So it's really cool that like our community, the MVP community, really made the movie, and they poured their blood and guts into it, heart and soul, all that. And so I think we did a really good job with what we had, especially.
We're talking with Nate Boyer. Catch, just checking. If Nate Boyer wanted to say shit ton, he could say it on this show. just to
I didn't know.
For the record, yes.
We just want to make sure it's a safe space, and it certainly is for that. For you, Nate, we would do that for you. Kind of maybe a weird question, but since you've now experienced the directing side and the acting side, and I know you're a kind of guy that's always looking to get better. You're always looking at self-improvement. You're looking at the new thing, the next thing. Give me an idea. What does Nate Boyer, the director, need to work on? What does Nate Boyer, the actor, need to work on?
The actor needs to work on a lot. That acting thing is really hard. I think, first of all, don't do both. In your first movie, that's a huge mistake.
That's the lesson.
Yeah, because it's like the whole time I'm on screen, in the back of my head, there's like wondering if we're capturing what we need to capture, like things that do not serve you if you're supposed to be acting, like listening to the other person genuinely, having a real moment there. It's really hard when you've got the awareness of this other stuff going on. From the directing side, I'll say I was really proud of how collaborative I was, but sometimes I got a little too collaborative in the sense of like, it was time to just make a decision. And, it was tough because I doubted myself. So I was like, well, this person's saying that person's saying this, like which one is right? And it's like, dude, you have to decide what you think is right now and make that decision and let's just go, So those kind of things, I think that anybody that's maybe in a leadership position that feels a little bit of the imposter syndrome or like they're not quite ready for that. I did feel that a bit because it was my first, I hadn't even directed like a short before. I'd been around it a bunch, but I sort of just, we shot this in the middle of COVID. We got sort of rushed into it because some of the locations we were shooting at, specifically the Veterans Homeless Shelter, which is a real location, it was shutting down. So when we were allowed to film there, and I really wanted that, but it was like, hey, you got to be in here, and you got to be in here in 6 weeks. where you can't sort of like, let's just go. I'll direct it. Let's just go. And yeah, there was just so much to learn on the set, and I learned a lot. But that was a big piece of it, was when you've got, some seasoned people, both actors and, cinematographer and all these people that are kind of looking at you like, dude, what do you want? You got to tell us what you want us to do right now. And I'm kind of like playing that game of like, what's going to make the most sense? What's going to look the best? Can we even pull this off? We got to be efficient with our time. And I'm like spending too much time trying to come up with the perfect solution and make everybody happy instead of just make a decision, delegate it, and let's go. So I got better as we went, but that's something I need to continue to improve upon for sure.
Gotcha.
Nate, are you so busy that you can't drink the Kool-Aid on your Texas Longhorns, or with 10 days to go until the start of the season, are you having to work off all the extra calories from all of the Kool-Aid that everybody's pouring about this Longhorn team coming into the year?
Oh, I'm drinking it. It might be mixed with a little something else, but I'm drinking it. No, I'm excited. First of all, it's been 14 years since we won, the Big 12, and this is our last year in the Big 12. So how special would that be? We're the favorites. It looks like. I feel like everybody's picking us, which maybe not a great thing, but maybe it is. Maybe that team, maybe it's that confidence boost the team really needs, and they truly believe, this is our time now, finally. And we've got a stacked quarterback room like we've never had before, and like all this other stuff that's pretty awesome. So, yeah, I'm all in. I think it's going to be a big year. The sky really is the limit. Look what TCU did last year. Obviously, they fell a little short in the end, but they came out of the Big 12, and got it done. And I think we absolutely have the talent and potential to do that right now. But even if we don't, I think winning that Big 12 that's a huge goal for us, and be a big momentum boost going into the SEC. And we should do it. We really should. There's no reason why we can't. Of course, it's not like these teams are, weak, and you get into the preseason and everyone's like, oh, someone like OU, they had a down year last year, they're probably going to suck. And it's like, it's still OU, man. Like you don't know. Like they could come out of the gates and all of a sudden they're top 10 by week 3 because they're just, playing like they do often. And then there's those dragon slayers like Oklahoma State and Texas Tech that you always have to just, keep an eye on. And then, I don't know. It's still a competitive conference, and we haven't won in 14 years, so we got to prove that it's our time and we're due.
Catch, I know he's got to run in a couple minutes. I'll give the last one to you if you want it.
Well, I'll actually go to Paul in the chat.
Okay.
Because I said, you guys got any questions? And Paul wanted to know if I can click on the right one. Ask Nate about his time on the terminal list. We'll leave it with that question.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check that out as well on Amazon Prime. It's based on a book series written by Jack Carr, who is a former Navy SEAL and just a brilliant writer. He's written this whole series of books. And Chris Pratt plays James Reese, the lead in that series. And I was fortunate enough to be in the last 3 episodes of that. But it was really fun. It was really cool. That project too, Chris and some of the folks on that production team, a lot of vets as well, made sure to cast vets playing these veteran roles. So I'm playing like a hostage rescue team leader as we're going after Pratt, kind of chasing him through the woods as he's on the run towards the end. But the coolest part of that was just my whole squad of 5 guys. We're all acting. We're all actors and acting, but we're all also vets. So that was pretty cool. That like on a big series like that, they probably spent $100 million on that thing. They still wanted that authenticity and kind of held to that. It had us as a big part of that. And I think it's important to me. We did it with MVP, obviously, and I think it's awesome. But last quick thing too, if you don't know about it and you haven't seen it, you got to watch Survive the Raft on Discovery Channel. So that's a new series I'm hosting right now. We're on episode 4. It's every Sunday night at 8 Central out there in Texas, and you can also watch it you can get caught up on Max, stream on Max, but it's a reality series based on a social experiment from 50 years ago. It's basically 10 people from all different walks of life living on this raft floating around the Pearl Islands in Panama. And They got to work together to survive the trip and kind of go through these challenges together. There's obviously money at stake, and so I'm hosting that deal and kind of come on, join them every so often and kind of introduce the next challenge and lead a bit of a discussion and see how these people from all walks of life who normally would never have a conversation together maybe can put that aside and work together for a common goal. So
nice. Nate Boyer's the new Jeff Probst, everybody.
No, he's the most interesting man in the world.
He really is.
Running races. He's in Vegas today. He's directing movies in Panama. It never stops.
By the way, real quick, Nate, the way you're lit for this interview, the whole time, all I've been thinking is we need a documentary where we put a weird voice in that says something like this. When they asked me if I wanted to be a part of a drug cartel, I didn't really know what that meant. It really has that feel to it. I've enjoyed the whole thing. It's been fantastic.
Stay thirsty, mis amigos.
Nate, man, best of luck to you moving forward with all your projects. We'll stay in touch. Anything you ever need from us, my man, you just let us know. We're there for you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you,
brother.
brother.
Nate Boyer.